Hello, everyone. Today we have Jen and Matt, and welcome to another episode of Lit with Lenin.
Hey, everyone.
That's good.
Yeah, I feel weird because whenever I turn around, my acne looks bad, but I want to look at the chat. But
No,
then
you look fine. I can't.
You look fine. Like there's
Okay.
nothing.
We're all having.
Well, stop pointing directly at it, and you'll do like way better. But like I can't see anything like on my screen. You look fine.
I'm like my allergies were picking up, so like I couldn't put makeup on, and I wanted to use a filter, but the Snap camera's not working with filters this morning. So.
I just want to check like with the chat just because of like what that one asshole was saying on Twitter. Everybody's like fully aware my skin is not actually bright red, right? You remember that?
You're not a bright red individual?
Yeah, no, I'm LARPing my skin color with my bright red avatar. It was like some next level weird ass racism, man.
Oh wow! Yeah, the Westoids are getting weirder and weirder. So the quick today in Wall Street Journal, there was an article about how if the war lasts longer, the longer the war lasts, the more likely Russia is gonna win it. It's like, duh.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's how numbers work.
Did you see the Jacobin thing? They're saying that they're going to carve up Ukraine.
Yeah, that's always been the plan. I've been looking at.
Yeah, well, that's what Ukraine is there for.
Exactly.
Like, if like we weren't into carving up Ukraine, it would be like the shitty part of Poland.
Exactly, and actually, I've been looking at some broadcasts from Poland where they are getting overexcited about certain new maps in like. They're getting really overexcited over there.
Oh, please.
So the whole plan all along was
there's no way where this like works out for Poland in any way. They're Poland. Nothing good happens to Poland. It's the law of history.
1945.
Well, yes, when they were allowed to be like join the USSR and speak their own language, that was the first and last good thing that's ever going to happen to Poland.
Correct. I mean, hello, Yipper. Russian hello. Привет is Russian hello. Привет or здравствуйте.
I won't.
Здравствуйте.
Just a great like excuse to roll your R's like every turn.
Yeah, she has to sit with me for about 20 minutes saying the word to me for me to get it right. So I won't butcher any terms.
It's fine. I kind of almost got one of our guests' name confused because there were two guests with very similar names, Max Good and Aaron Good, and
who I always feel bad for is like imagine like how Huey Lewis feels going to Russia. Like just think about that name. Huey. What does that mean in Russian?
Hui?
It's a curse word that's basically like essentially like, pardon my French, cunt, but for the penis. It's unmistakable.
Oh yeah. Hui.
Hui.
Yeah.
But yeah, Huey Lewis and the news, baby.
We have plenty that go around here with the name Dick, anyways. So
yeah. It's true. The U.S. ambassador to Denmark, not joking, you can Google this, Dick Sweat.
Yeah,
Seriously?
he's a New Hampshire guy. Dick Sweat.
I thought, really? He's New Hampshire? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he was a New
Yeah.
Hampshire guy.
Wow.
So Russia and Iran decided to create an alternative to SWIFT, and they've hooked up their banks together. And yeah, now the US is really upset. They're like, we have to fight against cryptocurrency.
Yeah. I love how the U.S. cannot decide how it feels about that shit.
Yeah, I mean, because they used cryptocurrency for color revolutions to wire money over to the Hong Kong rioters.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, how do you buy your drugs off the dark web?
Exactly.
Yeah, but like, yeah, no. But now that Iran and Russia are developing their own cryptocurrency, it's bad again. But like, yeah, no, and that's why the market's always going to be volatile for it.
Things are only good when the U.S. does them. Come on.
Yeah.
Exactly. When the US does them, it's good, but if anyone else does it, it's bad. I actually once did a TikTok where I went through headlines, and it's like China cracks down on dissent, US fights terrorists, and you're like,
Yeah.
and it's the same exact thing.
Every single protest that happens in the U.S., like within 15 minutes, they're shooting gas canisters directly at teenagers' heads.
Yeah, I've never seen them do it in China or
Yeah.
in many other countries. They let
The thing, what always gets me is that like using tear gas like in a war is like will get you like before a tribunal in The Hague. Like it's literally like a crime against humanity, war crime thing, because it's an indiscriminate weapon. Like you can't control like where it affects. Like I think like I was reading just there was a labor standoff or something in Chile like under Pinochet. Like they tear gassed this squat that like some rebels were staying in and killed like 3 babies. Like. And of course, like
it'll get your lungs and stuff like
I was reading about that because like somebody was like I mean it's just like capsaicin vapor basically. It's like it's mace but gas.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more caustic than that, but yeah, no, it was because like some paper, like it was a while ago, it might have been like Jacobin or something, was like praising like some Chilean politician, and it was the guy who oversaw this.
Oh my God, Jacobin! Oh my! Yesterday, Bhaskar Sankara, some idiot said something about how the
Chatterton Williams, Barry Weiss's #1 simp.
Oh God.
Yeah. Chatterton Williams did not really what is it? He did not really
he liberaled all over his pants, like talking about the cops that killed Tyree Nichols. Like what if they're not the product of the invisible, omnipresent hand of white supremacy, but they're just individuals making choices. Like he literally said that, and the founder of Jacobin retweeted that. So I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So I seriously for like the last 3 years, I've been waiting for Jacobin's clean Wehrmacht article, and I think we're on the verge of it.
Okay, yeah, I can't wait for that.
Like any day now, the clean Wehrmacht article's coming out.
And Jacobin often does this, where they take my art, like the one you wrote about the Berlin Wall. They took that 6 months later, they watered it down by a lot, and basically recopied it.
Oh, yeah. Great! I missed that one. Hey, did you ever get a copy of the guy who translated it into Urdu?
And no, I did not. Good. I will get it from him. Good. Yeah. But basically, they have stolen a lot of our articles where they, of course, water it down, and except for the ones that's why we often make fun of Jacobin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't get blocked by them again. On my old Twitter account, I was blocked by them.
How did you get blocked by them?
I do not remember. Like it was because of an angry response to a post I made to like some stupid post they made. I'll have to check and see if the old account got unbanned, because I had it as my pinned tweet for a while.
Oh, okay. That Jacobin really sucks because all they do is repeat U.S. hegemony. They're not.
Yeah.
And then Bhaskar Sankara wrote this like really stupid book about socialism, but he didn't really talk about socialism in his book about the Socialist
Yeah, didn't he just
Manifesto.
jerk off the Nordic countries basically?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he praised Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania, and I'm like, they are bastions of fascist hellscapes.
Yeah, like seriously. Yeah.
I feel that
No. I
they're
mean,
pushing that whole social
Robe,
democracy over social.
Robespierre is like doing like alligator death rolls like in his grave like every time Jacobin posts.
I know. Yeah. Oh my God. A few weeks ago, there was a tweet by somebody who was like crying for King Louis the whatever his name
Oh
was.
yeah, I remember. I remember that the unjust execution of Louis XIV.
Okay, so it's Louis the 14th.
Yeah,
Is
XIV.
that the last Louis?
No, I think it was 16.
Wait,
That
who
was the
was
last
the
one.
one that they got rid of during the French Revolution?
Uh, like oh shit, I don't remember. Like they all look exactly the same. I think it was the 16th.
Okay, Louis the 16th. Okay. Um.
Yes, Louis the 16th. You are correct, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I think somewhere in Kentucky there's a monument to one of the Louis.
Really?
Well, I mean Bourbon County, Kentucky.
Yeah, but I forgot which Louis it is. It has a monument to.
Probably the first one.
Okay.
It's usually the first one, the 14th, or the 16th. Like those are the Louis that
yeah,
everybody
because
remembers.
Louisville is named after, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Louisville is named after that Louis.
Yeah.
So it is the 16th actually. It's Louis the 16th.
Oh, that's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So-
that's where like bourbon whiskey comes from. It's Bourbon County, House of Bourbon. Like.
Ah, that's Louis fam. Okay, this makes so much sense now.
Yep.
Yeah. And well, so anyways, this week in Memphis, Tennessee, they released a video of these cops basically beating a man to death in the most cruel, sadistic fashion. And because the video was so graphic, they kind of decided, hey, we have to kind of charge them. And it's probably going to be very similar to Jason Van Dyke, who killed Laquan McDonald in Chicago, where they're just going to.
You're breaking like huge news to me. Like I haven't even heard of this one. Like.
Okay, so basically they charged him with murder, but then at the end he got about 5 years in prison.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah.
They won't get much.
They won't get much. They'll be out in no time.
Yeah, if they get any, they won't get.
Well, like didn't Chauvin get life, or like 20 years
Did he?
anyway? Like basically life.
He ends up with like 11 or 12 years, and then I think he can get out in like 8 or something.
Oh yeah, that's nothing.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, but you also have to remember all these cops like are black in the end, so they're probably going to be sentenced a little bit harder. That's why the police union's coming out against them.
True, and that's what like the black community was saying, like, oh, that was swift, because how long did it take for Chauvin? Like, how did they didn't even
I mean they encircled Chauvin's house to make sure like nobody could like Molotov cocktail it or like anything like that, and like they threw these guys to like they fired these guys, threw them to like the court system, but and like the whole thing is like I'm not looking for like I'm not suggesting that like anybody feels sympathy for these guys. A cop is a cop. A cop's race is cop, even though like there is probably going to be a sentence discrepancy.
Perhaps. I will wait to know. But what's really, we've already read this in the past, but it seems like this is very appropriate. I shared the link in the description because this actually a very similar thing happened in Tsarist Russia. And in 1901, Lenin wrote this article called Beat But Not to Death.
All right, who's reading? You?
You, or who wants to read?
Not me.
Okay, I'll read then.
Okay.
Okay. And then okay. On 23rd oh, by the way, I was reading it in Russian today in past parallel text, and they actually I personally there are some, if I had more time, there are some parts of the translation that I would totally change this time. but I didn't have enough time. But in Russian, it is Lenin almost has this nice parallel structure where it's kind of poetic.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Beat, but not to death. On 23rd January in Nizhny Novgorod, the special presence of the Moscow court chamber with the participation of state representatives considered the case of the murder of peasant Timofey Vasilievich Vozduhov, who was sent to a sobering up station and was beaten there by 4 police officers: Sheremetyev, Shulpin, Shibayev, Alhovin, and the acting police officer, Panov, to such an extent that Vozduhov died the very next day in the hospital. Such is the simple tale of this case, which throws a glaring light upon what usually and always goes on in our police stations. As far as it can be gathered from the extremely brief newspaper reports, what appears to have happened is the following. Oh, okay. So this is a yearly. Okay. On April 20th, Vozduhov drove up to the governor's house in a cab. The caretaker of the governor's house, who came out, testified at the trial that Vozduhov was without a hat, and he had been drinking but not drunk. Vozduhov complained about some steamboat wharf that did not issue a ticket for passage. The caretaker ordered Shelyametov, the policeman on post duty, to take him to the station. Vozduhov was so little drunk, as in he was not very drunk, that he calmly talked to Shelyametov and on arrival clearly explained his name and rank to the warden, Panov. On arriving at the police station, he quite distinctly told Sergeant Panov his name, his occupation. In spite of this, Shelyametov, evidently without knowledge of Panov, who had just questioned Vozduhov, pushed the latter into the prisoner's room, where there were some pushed latter not into the prisoner's room, where there were some drunkards, but into the soldier's room, which was situated near the prisoner's room. As Shelyametov pushed Vozduhov, his sword caught the latch. This is so, I can see this happening every day in America. This is what the exact same excuse they'll still use, and instead of a sword, they have a gun now. Okay.
Yeah.
As Shelyametov pushed Vozduhov, his sword caught the latch of the door, and it cut his hand slightly. Imagining that Vozduhov was holding the sword, he rushed to him to strike him, shouting that his hand had been cut. He struck Vozduhov with all his might in the face, in the chest, and in the side. He struck him so hard that Vozduhov fell, striking his forehead on the floor and begging for mercy. "Why are you hitting me?" he implored. I mean, this is literally, he reached for the gun is like the number one reason police give to shoot people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Look, nothing's changed. Okay.
Well, what changed is that they stopped giving reasons.
Okay. Yeah. According to the statement of a witness, Samakin, who was in the neighboring cell at the time, Vozduhov said, "It was not my fault. Forgive me, for Christ's sake." According to the evidence of this witness, it was not Vozduhov who was drunk, but Shelyametov, the police officer. Shelyametov's colleagues Shulpin and Shibayev had been continuously drinking in the police station since the first day of Easter week. April 20th was Tuesday, the third day of Easter week. They had learned that Shelyametyev was teaching, the expression used in the indictment, Vozduhov a lesson. They went into the soldiers' lockup accompanied by Alhovin, who was on a visit from another station, and attacked Vozduhov with their fists and their feet. The police sergeant Panov came on the scene and struck Vozduhov on the head with a book, and then with his fists. And of course, Lenin makes a snide remark, no doubt the copy of the laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the book of laws.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing with this, like
at my elementary school, they for corporal punishment, they used a large paddle that actually had Board of Education carved into it. Not even joking.
With them like naming, like, okay, so this guy's from another station, da da da. What people were saying about the video, I only watched it like as I was like passing down, like I glanced like a little second of it. I have not watched the video, but as people were saying, They would just
I've only seen what was like automatically playing as I was scrolling by. I'm not going to watch
exactly
it.
that's what I'm saying. So like they were passing Tyree around, like
Yeah,
that's what it sounds
like
like.
yeah, like a joint basically, and just like
Yeah,
yeah,
they were
just
standing up. It was really sick. They were standing up repeatedly, and then just like beating him. Like they were doing exactly what
Yeah.
Lenin explained.
no, it was just it was Rodney King like all over again. Like
Okay. Okay. Oh, they beat. Okay. Sorry. Where was I?
That's exactly where you are at the quote.
Oh, they beat him and beat him so hard that my belly ached. For pity, said a woman witness who was under arrest there at the time. When the lesson was over, the sergeant very coolly ordered Shibayev to wipe the blood from the victim's face. It would not look so bad then. The chief might see it, and then fling him to the common cell. Brothers, cries Vazduhov to the other detainees, see how the police have beaten me. Be my witness. I'll lodge a complaint.
sorry, that was sad, not funny, but I laughed.
But he never lived to lodge the complaint. The following morning, he was found in a state of unconsciousness and sent to the hospital where he died within 8 hours without coming to himself again. A post-mortem revealed 10 broken ribs, bruises all over his body, and hemorrhage of his brain. The court sentenced Shelyametov, Shulpin, and Shibayev to 4 years penal servitude and Aholovin and Panov to 1 month's detention, finding them guilty of only insulting behavior.
So disorderly conduct, basically.
Yeah, so the heads of the police who orchestrated the beating, they just get a little slap on the wrist.
We investigated ourselves and discovered it was not so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. With this sentence, we shall commence our examination of the case. Those sentenced to penal servitudes were charged according to Articles 346 and 1490 of Part 2 of the Penal Code. First of these articles provides that an official inflicting wounds or injuries in the exercise of his duty is liable to the maximum penalty reserved for the perpetration of such a crime. Article 490, Part 2 provides for a penalty from 8 to 10 years penal servitude for inflicting torture resulting in death. Instead of inflicting the maximum punishment penalty, the court consisting of representatives of social estates and crown judges, so they're basically the bourgeoisie and people who are related to the king, crown judges, reduced the sentence by 2 degrees. 6th degree, 8 to 10 years of penal servitude. 7th degree, 4 to 6 years. It made the maximum reduction of sentence permitted by the law in cases of extenuating circumstances. Moreover, imposed the maximum penalty of that low degree. In a word, the court did all it could to let the culprits off as lightly as possible. In fact, it did more than it could because it evaded the law concerning the maximum penalty. Of course, we do not wish to assert that the supreme justice demanded precisely 10 years and not 4 years of penal servitude. The essential point is that murderers were declared to be murderers and that they were sentenced to penal servitude. But we cannot refrain from noting a tendency characteristic of the Court of Crown Judges and representatives of the estates. When they try a police official, they are ready to display the greatest clemency. But when they sit in judgment over an act committed against the police, it is well known that they display inexorable severity.
Mm-hmm.
And here, Lenin mentions. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it just shows. I mean, the guy, like, whether or not he like reached for what was it, the sword?
The sword.
Like,
Yeah.
whether or not, like, yeah, they just beat him because they didn't like him.
Well, this is making like an excellent case, like to point to, like whenever like anybody complains that like you're not a real leftist, you have a law degree. I mean, read this. Like this is why you want somebody who understands the legal system.
Well,
like,
you know what Lenin
shit.
did when he was in exile in Siberia is that every Sunday he would go give free advice to peasants, and he would like write letters. They'd come to his house and they would write letters, and then like people, like he was so good with the law that sometimes officials were scared of even receiving Lenin's letter. But once that was really funny is that somebody had a complaint that was not really legal. He was just mad that his brother-in-law didn't invite him to his daughter's wedding, and Lenin's like, this is something I can't really fix with the law.
I mean, look at
But
this.
did he write like an angry letter to the brother anyway?
Yeah, no, he didn't. He wrote a letter
Oh.
about how family is important and you should invite your brother-in-law and let bygones be bygones.
I mean, look at this sicko guy. The Steve, what's his last name? The one that was in, what was he, 900 days in jail, like on house arrest or something. The one that's been fighting for the South American for
Stephen
Oh,
Danziger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danziger, yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, he's fighting for, like, yeah, I mean,
And then he was got on such a bullshit charge. It was like some bullshit. It was like not even a real charge. It was.
Yeah, I don't even remember it. Like, it's like just like this. It's an excellent example of like, there's like, you have constitutional illusions. Like they are making this shit up as they go along.
Yeah, this is not like this is whatever they got him on was like something to do with like transferring money from 2 bank accounts. It's not even illegal, and it was total bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a total sting operation. It was just like crazy. And yeah, and it was clearly like a team of like Chevron like had hired like a team of investigators to go through his garbage, like all sorts of crazy things.
Oh yeah. Well, like I mean, they can like I mean, I know here in the United States, I mean, they could just like hold you without charge for like 2 days while they find something to like arrest you.
That's
for.
basically what they did with him.
They can bend the law. So at any given time, every single person walking in the U.S. is doing something against the law in there. Like they could literally find you guilty of something. Like
yeah, like
all the laws.
Yeah, like there's like reasonable suspicion bullshit, and then like they can do anything they want to you because of qualified immunity. They just have to like say they were a scared little bitch at the time.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, but this was definitely like done by Chevron's private investigators. But yeah, but here Lenin also illustrates a case. In passing, we shall adduce another fact indicating that punishments imposed by our courts for various crimes. A few days after the Vazduhov murder trial, the Moscow District Military Tribunal tried a private in the local artillery brigade for stealing 50 pairs of trousers and a few pairs of boots while on guard in the duty in the.
So that's exactly like when those NYPD punks like put up like we recovered $2,000 of stolen property and it's all like soap and baby food.
Yeah, something really. Okay, hold on, it gets really ridiculous. And a few pair of boots while on guard duty in the storeroom. The sentence was 4 years penal servitude. A human life entrusted to the police is equal in value to 50 pairs of trousers and a few pairs of boots entrusted to a sentry. In this peculiar equation, the whole of our police state system is reflected as the sun is reflected in the drop of water. The individual against state power is nothing. Discipline within the state power is everything. Pardon me, everything only for the small fry. A petty thief is sentenced to penal servitude, but the big thieves, the magnates, the cabinet ministers, bank directors, builders of railways, engineers, contractors, who plunder the treasury of property valued at the tens and hundreds of thousands of rubles, are punished only on very rare occasions, and at the worst are banished to remote provinces where they may live at ease on their loot. The bank thieves in Western Siberia, and from where it is easy to escape across the frontier. Colonel of Gendarmerie Maranville de Saint Clair. This sounds a lot like the U.S. Okay.
Yeah.
With the police sergeant before it, how could the court refuse clemency? He had met Vazduhov as he was brought in and apparently had ordered him to be placed not in a common cell, but first in order to teach him lesson in the soldiers' lockup. He took part in the assault using his fists and a book. No doubt a copy of the penal laws. He gave orders to have all traces of the crime removed, to wipe away the blood. On the night of April 20th, he reported to the inspector Muhanov. Upon his return, everything in order at the station is in his charge. His exact words. But he had nothing to do with the murderers. He was just only guilty of an insulting act. Just insulting behavior, punishable by detention. Quite naturally, this gentleman, Mr. Panov, is innocent of murder, is still in the police service, occupying a post of a village police sergeant. Oh my God, nothing changes.
Nope.
That's what the guy who killed Tamir Rice. He got transferred. He was yeah.
Mr. Panev has merely transferred.
Yeah, Mr. Panam has merely transferred his useful directing activities and teaching lessons to the common people from the town to the country. Now, reader, tell us in all conscience, can Sergeant Panam understand the sentence of the court to mean anything else than advise in the future to remove the traces of a crime more thoroughly, and to teach in such a manner as to leave no trace? You did right in ordering the blood to be wiped from the face of a dying man, but you allowed him to die. That, pal, was careless. In the future, be more careful and never forget the first and last commandment of the Russian Dezhimorda: beat, but not to death. Okay, so Dezhimorda is a character from one of Gogol's novels where he's like a really stupid. He's kind of like almost like Inspector Javert is like a good analogy for Dezhimorda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pick up reading from
Yes,
here?
please.
Okay. From the ordinary human point of view, the sentence Panov drew was a mockery of justice. It reveals a cringing, servile spirit, an attempt to throw the whole blame upon the minor police officers and to shield their immediate chief, with whose knowledge, approval, and participation this brutal crime was committed. From the judicial point of view, the sentence is an example of the... Is this a misspelling? Casuistry? Casuistry?
Casuistry.
I've never seen this word before. I feel like a moron.
I don't know what it means.
Probably causation, like a...
No. Casuistry.
Yeah, I think that we looked this up before. Cause,
I forgot what it meant.
It's a weird word. It's, the use of clever but unsound reasoning, especially in relation to moral questions.
Is there a pronunciation for it?
By the way,
like what's
one of the greatest things about Russia is when you order juice from a place, guess what they give you? Actual fruits crushed into a liquid form.
Nice.
That they crush themselves, as opposed to store bought or whatever they give you. What do they give you in the U.S. when you order juice?
Concentrate.
Depends what and where you order it.
All right, you ready?
Okay, so wait, how do we pronounce this word again?
Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, do you guys keep talking every time?
Who talks?
You just talked every time I hit the button. Casuistry is how she's
Casuistry?
Casuistry, yeah.
Okay. The sentence is use of clever, but like...
Hold on.
Reasoning.
Yipper wants to know can you use it in a sentence? What is the origin of the word?
Yeah, like is it French?
The resolving of moral problems by the application of theoretical rules to particular instances. The use of clever but unsound reasoning.
It's a synonym for sophistry.
Yes, sophistry.
Okay, got it. Casuistry is a synonym. Okay,
it's
that's a new word.
Wow, it's like 5 syllables.
It's just casuistry.
Yeah, casuistry. Casuistry.
Casuistry. Okay.
But we could just say sophistry, and I'm going to go with that because I hate this word officially. Okay. The sentence is an example of the sophistry resorted to by bureaucratic judges who are themselves not far removed from police sergeants. Yep. Speech was given to a man to conceal his thoughts. Say the diplomats. Okay,
but hold on. In Russian, now he literally says the law was given to the judge to conceal justice. Says the jurist, but they mistranslate. That's what they say in Russian, but I don't like this translation.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to stop reading then? Or...
No, continue.
Okay. Our jurists may say that the law is given to distort the concepts of guilt and responsibility. Indeed, what refined judicial art is required to be able to reduce complicity and torture to simple insulting behavior. Panov was guilty of an offense equal in gravity to that perhaps committed by a factory hand who possibly on the morning of April 20th mischievously struck Voznikov's cap off his head. In fact, milder than that. It was not an offense, but merely an infringement. Even in participation in a brawl, let alone the brutal assault upon a helpless man, if it results in a fatality, is liable to a severer punishment than that meted out to the police sergeant. Legal chicanery took advantage of the fact that the law provides for various degrees of punishment for inflicting injuries in the exercise of official duties and allows the court the discretion to pronounce sentences ranging from 2 months imprisonment to permanent banishment to Siberia. Well, Lenin was familiar with that. According to the circumstances of the case, of course, it is quite rational. It is quite a rational rule not to bind a judge to strictly formal definitions, but to allow him certain latitude. Our professors of criminal law have often praised Russian legislation for this, and have emphasized its liberal character. However, in praising our law, they lose sight of one trifle, namely that for rational laws to be applied, it is necessary to have judges who are not reduced to the role of mere officials, that it is necessary to have representatives of the public in the court, and for public opinion to play its part in the examination of cases. Secondly, the assistant public prosecutor came to the aid of the court by withdrawing the charge against Panov and Olkovin of torture and cruelty and pleading only for a sentence for insulting behavior.
This is exactly what prosecutors often do when they have to try a police, is that they go to a grand jury and they throw the case, basically.
Oh yeah, basically, or they by like specifically charging the incorrect crime that they know. Yeah. That's another one that's quite popular.
They've done that many times. I'm trying to. Joe Biden did that with regards to the debt relief bullshit that he argued in front of the Supreme Court. Is where he literally argued the incorrect provision, and this law professor even mentioned how this is bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, they're making the incorrect argument on purpose.
Yeah, it was like an incorrect law that they showed, and any first-year law student would know that this was going to get thrown out, and he did it.
I have my education, formal education ended at 9th grade. I knew it was bullshit.
Or they just throw on so much. It's hard to weed through it and figure out what the right
with evidence that they want to bury. But really, this is just manipulation that the prosecutor does in the grand jury, where they're because the saying where how a grand jury indicts a ham sandwich. And then there are all these.
By the way, the guy who originally said that was himself later indicted by a grand jury on corruption charges.
Good. Okay, but they still did it. Yeah, but the thing, or bad, I don't know. But the thing is that
I actually have experience with this. I was seated on the longest serving grand jury in Massachusetts history.
Really?
During the COVID pandemic.
And?
It's stupid. It's a waste of time. But they pay better than minimum wage for sitting there.
Did you try to manipulate anything?
You can't really. How it works is they sit up to, I believe, 23 people, and you only need 13 for it to function. So basically, basically there's 13 people that are necessary, and everybody else just serves to alternate if people can't make it that day. The prosecutor will, and this is in Massachusetts law, this is necessary for every federal case. So every federal case has to go in front of a grand jury.
Yeah.
And what I will say is most of the time what they do, they bring in and they will show you a video of the crime being committed. They'll say, this guy stabbed this dude, and then they will show you a video of the stabbing. There's not a lot of room for interpretation in this, or they'll have a guy breaking into somebody's house on a security camera. They'll look directly at the security camera and basically hold up their fucking ID. There's very little ambiguity to like a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like
Why would they do we need
the,
smarter thieves.
like there was one that like it took like weeks and weeks that it had to do with a with this woman whose baby died because like a radiator malfunctioned
Mhm.
while like she was out and she had a babysitter that like wasn't paying attention or like something like that, but like basically like this baby cooked to death in its own room like overnight, and like we're all trying to figure out like who the fuck is responsible for this, because like it was like the radiator malfunctioned, and like but it was like, but like the state was like, why didn't anybody check on this baby in the middle of the night? Like, I mean, it had to like be crying. Like this room turned into like a like basically like a freaking lobster steamer.
Okay, there's a couple of things going on in the chat.
Okay, so hold on. Okay.
Tech Lloyd is asking ham sandwich because you guys said
So
Yeah.
a New York prosecutor or cop at one point had this famous quote that a grand jury would return an indictment on a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Where's the ham? I can't even find the.
Found it. And
this is true because grand juries have a 98% indictment rate, and that 2% that don't get indicted, they're all cops. I'm not fucking with you.
And then Cannabinated Fantasy is just asking, isn't that how Rittenhouse
by charging the wrong thing? I'm not too familiar, so I cannot say, but it is highly possible.
It's a very common thing. Like if it doesn't go before a grand jury and they can't get the case thrown out and say that like there was no merit to it, you know, they'll go to court and they'll chart on the wrong charges that they can't prove because that's not the crime that was committed, and then that guy has to be acquitted of a crime that he objectively did not commit.
Okay. Yeah, that's another tactic. And then a Cobra commander says 2 times I was offered jury duty. I got out. Last time I was in a hospital bed for a murder trial. I really wanted to go. Yeah, when you go, remember your right to nullify.
Yeah. Now that I'm disabled, I was getting jury duty and I wanted to do it, and I got within a year I got jury duty, and I got the one day I had to go down, and it was actually it was kind of like the younger like child, but they were teenagers and stuff like that, and it was a rape of another teenager, and so I'm sitting there like, I love this subject, but I was like, I don't work anymore. I'll do jury duty. Oh my God, I was in so much pain after the end of the day, and then all of a sudden, 3 months later, the Fed wanted me to go into Boston to do the week-long grand jury with the week-long grand jury, and I called the woman and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. Well, what they do now, like with the grand jury in Worcester County, because each county I think has its like own protocol. In Worcester County, what they do with the grand jury is they seat them for 90 days at a time.
Okay.
And for like 90 days, you go in every weekday for like 3 hours and like do these cases. And like the one I was on, like we ended up seated for like 9 months because of the pandemic. They just kept everybody on rather than like bringing in new jury pools to like sit in the courtroom.
Okay, just say I don't like cops and they send me home. Okay, I want to get to a jury and I'm going to help nullify and manipulate people, but they'll never help. Heck, I'm in.
Yeah, I did. The big reason I did it was
you cannot nullify jury.
I have a charge for punching.
Hold on.
And they did not let me off. They made me sit there all day.
Okay, so how can you know? No, not jury duty. When you are on the jury, it does not matter if the person is guilty. If you think the thing should not be a crime, you have an absolute conscience. It's not your it's your patriotic duty to say not guilty. Like for possession of marijuana or possession of any other stupid thing.
Yep, you can always just hold out. Like you can always just like vote your conscience on a jury. There's nothing they can do to stop you.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like if they didn't catch you in the extremely biased, should be straight up illegal jury selection process, like it's on them. They fucked up.
Yeah.
Like they
yeah,
failed to stack the deck. Like,
yeah, especially if you don't think it should be a crime. Anything like I just don't think anything in
yeah.
America.
Well, what
should be
this was hilarious. Okay, so like the first day of of this grand jury I was on, like so like I live in Massachusetts, which is like, you know, a pretty quote unquote notorious blue state. Like finding people with like some pretty like left wing views on stuff out here is not that difficult.
Yeah.
But finding a lot of shit lives out here isn't difficult either.
Oh,
but
God.
but anyway, so like while we were being seated here, you know, there was like I don't think the George Floyd thing had happened yet.
What year did that
but
happen? I can't remember.
that
anymore.
was in 2020.
It was
Uh,
right over
Yeah,
there.
but there was another like big thing that happened recently with like cops and grand jury and getting acquitted like that, and this ADA that we had that was like doing the grand jury work. Like the thing about this dude is like you could tell like without a doubt he was the office funny guy, you know, quote unquote. Like and so there's this old guy. He's sitting behind me, and like he's listening to this ADA explain like how the process works, like how the evidence is presented, and like and you know and like he's saying that like, you know, that the prosecution is going to be the only one that's like presenting evidence and all that, and then this guy like behind me like says, well, I mean, doesn't that seem like a pretty like, you know, biased, one-sided process? And like this old guy really thought he had this ADA, and this ADA looked right at him and said, this is not a two-sided process. That's not how this works. And that was the end of that discussion. It was like I don't agree with it. I would burn this building down if I had the opportunity. But man, it's like that's almost worth a slow clap. He just looked the guy dead in the eye and admitted that nope, systems rigged, suck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. Okay, so let's get back to our professors of criminal law.
Okay, of course, it is quite a rational rule to not bind a judge to strictly formal definitions. Our professors of criminal law have often praised. Okay, here's where we were. In his plea, the assistant prosecutor called expert evidence to prove that the blows inflicted by Panov were neither numerous nor painful. The dude's dead. What?
Wait a minute. Where are you? I've lost you.
So where?
Now
where
I
we,
see. Okay. As
Okay.
you see. Okay, now I see it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, like we're neither like the dude is dead, but like they're here like proving like this is like the fucking like Monty Python gig of like the guy returning the dead parrot, like I like showing you on the corpse exactly where you beat this man to death in a way that was neither serious nor painful. Sorry. By the way, side note, that Monty Python joke with the guy trying to return the dead parrot is like word for word taken from a book called The Phylogilus that was written. It's the world's oldest collection of jokes compiled in 4 AD. That joke is word for word taken from that, except instead of a dead parrot, it's a guy returning a dead slave.
Okay. Okay, I will.
Phylogilus. Like I really want
to.
I really want a copy of that, but I couldn't find one that cost less than like $300. It's hard to find.
Maybe you can go to the library.
Possibly, but anyway, so in his plea, the assistant prosecutor called expert evidence to prove that the blows inflicted by Panov were neither numerous nor painful. As you see, the juridical sophistry is not very ingenious. Since Panov did less beating than the others, it may be argued that his punches were not very painful. And since they were not very painful, it may be argued that his offense was not, quote unquote, torture and cruelty. And since it was not torture and cruelty, then it was merely insulting behavior. All this works out to everybody's satisfaction, and Mr. Panov remains in the ranks of the guardians of the law and order.
And that's another thing with like a gang like beating someone to death. Like who threw the last? Like they.
Oh yeah, well they used to do that
is another
when you
thing.
when you execute somebody by firing squad, you only put a live round in one gun, so like
No,
nobody
I thought
knows who
they
got
put
the
a
kill
dead
shot.
round in one gun.
Or you put a dead round in one gun, or you put the live round only in one gun. It depends, but like the whole point is nobody can reasonably say, well, like, oh, that was my shot,
Yeah.
Except, like, I wonder if the Soviets
because you
did
wouldn't
that.
want the executioners to feel guilty.
Well, except I wonder if the Soviets did that because, like, after, like, when they shot a lot of Nazis and executed.
God, I hope not. Like, I would demand rightful credit. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to know if I killed a Nazi.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
do the Pavlichenko thing. Oh, you killed 390 men? No, I killed 390 fascists.
My favorite is Semyon Namakanov, where he's like really happy and smoking a cigarette, like he's kind of lazy smoking. And then the first kill he did was like it was close range. He grabbed the gun from a German fascist and then shot him in the head. Yeah.
Oh wow! Like
Called,
I forget the guy's last name. His first name was Maxim something, but he was a Russian from the eastern side. So like, I mean, he had a Russian name, but he basically like could have passed for Korean. Like he's one of the he has like one of the highest kill counts in the World War II era Red Army. And there's just this photo of him with a submachine gun, like, and he's got this ear to ear grin on. Like, I've never seen a human being look this happy. And he's like 18 in this photo. And like he martyred himself for the righteous cause like a year later, but I think he like 190 dead Germans under his belt before the end. Maxime something starts with a P, I think.
The people think that you're Matt Taibbi. Sorry.
No, it's not Matt Taibbi. It's Uncle Authority. Definitely not Matt Taibbi.
For Christ's sakes, no! Look at the name. It's M. Fergus Gawain. All right.
Yeah.
Taibbi, no.
No, definitely not. What kind of liberal show do you think we're?
Why
running?
would you think I'm Matt? I'm so fucking offended right now.
I'm offended that you think I'd invite Matt Taibbi.
My God.
It's not Matt Taibbi. This is Uncle Authority from.
Yeah, no, you can't talk to Matt Taibbi. He was exiled from the USSR. Like, they would have your phone tapped if you brought him on this show.
He was in. Okay, what's really embarrassing about Matt Taibbi is the first book that he wrote.
No, he wasn't even exiled from the USSR. He was exiled from the former USSR.
Okay, hold on. Let me explain. This is like so embarrassing. He wrote this book that's clearly fiction with Mark Ames. And in like this clearly fiction book, they have like sex in like a wild orgy in the office where they don't really have a wild orgy in the office because it never happened, but it's all fiction. But because of the Me Too, like some liberals got on his case, and Matt Taibbi embarrassingly threw Mark Ames under the bus and apologized for it. It was so awful.
Wait, for like a fiction book?
Yeah.
Was it known fiction or like?
Yeah, everybody knew it was fiction.
Well, like, was it supposed to be a fiction book, or was it like fiction like that guy who like wrote about that boxer a while ago?
No, it was it was fiction. It was definitely fiction.
Okay.
They were doing the same thing like they did to Barney with his paper that he wrote.
Yeah. No, it was definitely fiction.
Yes.
They were doing satire basically of like how Westerners like engage in gross behavior when they go over abroad, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean that's accurate. Like,
yeah.
There's like, everybody, there's like so many weird like stereotypes that like about USians abroad that like aren't appreciated like fully. Like, everybody knows like they think we're loud, stupid, and eat burgers. Like, that's the big one. And
molest children.
And molest children. Yeah, or we're either extremely prudish or drooling sex maniacs with nothing in between. The one that like really gets me, and like basically like everyone like foreign national I know has said this like at one point. Another is that USians are like incredibly friendly. Like holy shit, like give you the keys to their house like out of nowhere, friendly. Like to the point like they don't understand it, and like they almost like, are you simple? Like that kind of thing. Like,
I don't find us very friendly, but
No, I think there's like fake friendly. It's like, hi, how are you?
yeah,
Kind of friendly.
yeah. Like my sister-in-law is, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't really know how they mean it, but like I know like kind of like what they're talking about, and like sometimes like yeah, it's like that fake friendly thing, but like I also know like plenty of people that are like no, I mean they walk around like golden retrievers. Everyone is their new best friend, and like they
Yeah,
really feel
okay.
that way.
Yeah. A lot of people who travel abroad are kind of like that. Because yeah. Okay, I
Well,
never
you should
heard.
be you should be nice to the locals. I mean,
Yeah, okay, no,
like,
he's not a decent journalist. I mean, he wrote some good articles about Wall Street back in
Yeah.
2008 when people were like, they were like, he wrote 2 or 3 nice articles about
Yeah,
Wall
during
Street.
like Occupy and stuff. Like
Yeah, and it's not that hard because sources were everywhere and nobody was writing back then. And if you go to Yasha Levine's blog, and he tells the story much more clearly about how Taibbi threw
yeah,
Mark Ames under the bus for no good reason
yeah,
other than to
watch out
ingratiate
with
himself with the liberals.
yeah, but watch out with like Yasha Levine. He's got some brain worms of enormous girth right now.
Yeah, he's always gotten okay. So what he does is he understands Western propaganda is dumb, but then like he says really like he's like does not quite understand.
Like he thinks Russia's like coming to get him personally. Like, dude, you are
No,
not
they're
that
not.
important.
What?
This is the reason why. This is the reason why you cannot just take one source, because some of these people do have good takes on things, but they have horrible takes on other things. So like branching out.
Yasha Levine's takes on Israel and the whole immigration as a weapon is great, but then he doesn't realize how he's a weaponized immigrant to like, and he does a lot of respectability journalism these days.
Yeah.
With regard to
Yeah, you have to have your certain people for certain subjects. Like,
yeah,
they're horrible on another subject, but they can be really good on one subject.
Exactly. Yasha Levin is impeccable on Israel, and
we are dialectical materialists. We are capable of taking the good and throwing away the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, he's impeccable on Israel and a lot of current events and good research on a lot of things. But then, when he has to talk about Russia or the or his childhood, like it just gets brainwormy often.
Oh yeah, well, you know my old thing.
Especially during the special military operations, where he's like, "What Putin is doing in Ukraine is just like what U.S. did in Iraq." It's like, no, they didn't.
No, it's not.
They have not privatized plant patents in Ukraine or whatever.
Ukraine has nothing to steal that the West didn't take by 1996.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's. Like no, and like I mean, for Christ's sakes, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace has basically like had a fucking vision board of how they're going to pick Ukraine's corpse apart, like posted on the internet for everyone to read since 1991.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, okay, where were we?
Okay, so no, I forgot.
Okay, no, we started. We started.
No, hold on. I have to read the second footnote. In Russia, instead of exposing outrage in all its horror before the court and the public, they prefer to hush up the case in court and do nothing more than send out circular letters and orders full of pompous but meaningless phrases. For instance,
that's exactly how they tried George Zimmerman.
Yeah. You mean Chauvin? No.
I'm talking about Zimmerman wasn't a cop, but they used the.
Who was Zimmerman?
George Zimmerman, who killed Trayvon Martin.
The Gusano.
Yeah. He wasn't a cop, but they used the exact same protect the cop playbook on him.
Okay, he was a cosplaying cop. Okay. For instance, a few days ago, the Ariel chief of police issued an order which, confirming previous orders, instructs the local police inspectors to impress upon subordinates personally and through their assistants that they must refrain from roughness and violence in handling drunkards in the street and when taking them to the police station to sober up. The order further specifies that police officers must explain to their subordinates that it is duty of the police to protect drunkards who cannot be left alone with obvious danger to themselves. that subordinate police officers whom the law has placed in the position of first protectors and guardians of citizens must therefore, in taking drunkards into custody, not only refrain from treating them roughly and inhumanely, but must do all they can to protect them until they have become sober. The order warns subordinate police officials that only by such conscious and lawful exercise of their duties they will earn the confidence and respect of the population, and that if, on the contrary, police officials treat drunkards harshly and cruelly or resort to violence, conduct incompatible with the duty of a police officer who should serve as a model of respectability and good morals, they will be punished with all the vigor of law, and any subordinate police officer guilty of such conduct will be rigorously prosecuted. A capital idea for a cartoon in a satirical journal. A police sergeant acquitted of the charge of murder reading an order that he must serve as a model of respectability and good morals.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Man, that's depressing.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
Nope.
122 years, man.
Okay, hold on. Let's take a 30-second break for me.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, she's not back. 30 seconds wasn't enough for her.
Well,
She
yeah.
should be
I mean, I've never heard of any human being taking a legit 30-second break. I figured that meant 5 minutes.
I know. How do you break for 30 seconds?
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like,
yeah, she is.
I mean, maybe if you're an astronaut and you can just go in the suit, like. You know?
Sorry, I was just
like, don't talk to me for 30 seconds, bro.
Wait,
Leave me alone, 30 seconds.
And what happened?
Oh,
We're
no.
laughing because we didn't think that, like, a 30-second break was like enough to do anything.
It's not.
So anyhow,
Okay. Next time, I don't have the video.
45 seconds. 45 seconds, though. That's not bad.
Okay, next video, do a 52-second break or a 1 minute and 30-second break.
This is why you need to get those NordVPN dollars so you can just like run an ad for like web browsing in North Korea like anytime you want.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue with the reading, and then we'll take a break after that. After I get tired again.
Okay. Let me bring up the. Okay, we have just referred to the participation of representatives of the public in court trials and to the part that should be played by public opinion. The case in point is an excellent illustration. In the first place, why was this case tried? Not by a jury, but by a court of crown judges and representatives of the estates. Because the government of Alexander III, having declared ruthless war upon every public aspiration towards liberty and independence, very soon found that trial by jury was dangerous. The reactionary press declared trial by jury to be trial by the street and launched against it a campaign which, be it said in passing, continues to this day. The government adopted a reactionary program, having crushed the revolutionary movement of the 70s, the 1870s. It insolently declared to the representatives of the people that it regarded them as the, quote, street, unquote, the mob which must not interfere in the work of legislation, let alone interfere in the administration of the state, and which must be driven from the sanctuary where Russian citizens are tried and punished according to the Panov method. In 1887, a law was passed removing crimes committed by and against officials from the jurisdiction of courts sitting with a jury and transferring them to courts of crown judges and representatives of the estates. It is well known that these representatives of the estates merged into a single collegium with the bureaucratic judges are mute supernumeraries playing the miserable role of witnesses ready to say yes to everything the officials of the Department of Justice decide. This is one of a long series of laws adopted during the latest reactionary period of Russian history, and having one single tendency in common: to reestablish a, quote, sound authority, unquote. Under the pressure of circumstances, the government in the latter half of the 19th century was compelled to come into contact with the street, quote unquote, but the character of the street changed with astonishing rapidity, and the ignorant inhabitants gave place to citizens who were beginning to understand their rights and who were capable even of producing the champions of their rights. Realizing this, the government drew back in horror and is now making convulsive. Oh, sorry, I had a smudge on my screen. Convulsive efforts to surround itself by a Chinese wall, to immure itself in a fortress into which no manifestations of independent public action can penetrate. But I have strayed somewhat from my subject.
And this is basically the U.S. government today. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like, there's nothing, and this is why I feel bad for all the people protesting out there, because it's kind of disorganized, and a nice, cute cat.
That's Haida May.
Hi, Haida May.
Oh, I missed the kitty.
She's right there.
Oh, wow, she blends in real good.
Okay. And they don't do much. Like, basically, it's usually just bursts of anguish and trying to display it, but those bursts of anguish are always based on the premise that the government cares, but they don't. And so ultimately, a lot of these protests haven't really accomplished anything. It's been 8 years at least of like consistent protests, and they haven't done anything. And so it's besides like get people roughed up a little bit and endanger people. So it's hard for me to justify these kind of like pure protests as opposed to any kind of, there's no action in it other than like
no, it's well, I mean, what's happening is like it's called a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's not, and it doesn't work on your mom in the toy aisle, and it's not going to work on a state that's built around the premise of murdering you for money.
No,
exactly.
No. And they've been at this, and it's actually gotten worse.
Oh yeah.
More and it's like,
yeah, no, but like here's the problem. Like you see, like for like all intents and purposes, especially after the ACAB spring in 2020. That we pretty much have to like have some sort of brutal riots at this point. Otherwise, the lesson that the state will learn is that the crackdown worked, and the crackdowns will get progressively worse.
But then brutal riots are also not enough to crack down production. They'll just like give sadistic cops more guns, and they'll just go like bomb places like they did in Philadelphia in 1985. What we need is an organized.
Well, that was a response to like a commune presenting it like an alternative way of organization.
Mostly like a shelter for like.
It was an anarchist commune basically, and
they basically gave food to poor people for the most part. That's all.
It demonstrated like an alternative model, an organization of society in any capacity. It doesn't matter. The whole point it doesn't matter. Like the whole point of the ATF is to like raid hippies. Like to show that like you can't even like within this system like build a little bubble of safety. Like you will be penetrated and destroyed by the state. There is no alternative.
All they do is speak civility politics. Like they want you to get out there. So then we're like, oh well, we're doing these protests and we're being civil, but you guys are like doing this stuff.
Yeah, but okay,
it's not working. It's not working because we can't.
You're not designed to care.
We can't play by their rules. Like
exactly.
No, and like you see, like part of what pisses me off when like people like do their analysis of the Panthers is that they consider not being bulletproof to be a failure of praxis, and
No.
it's not. Like
No.
what Fred Hampton was doing was the correct plan. What he was
Well, what
murdered for
Huey
was
Newton talked
correct.
about with
That's why he was murdered.
hold on. What Huey Newton, when he said revolutionary suicide, is that when he, like the guy behind, like once the police knock you down, the guy behind you picks up your gun and then starts shooting, and then the guy behind you then picks it up, and so it's actually a very advanced idea. But again, hold on.
Okay.
There's a scene in that. If there's a scene in that movie with, about the in the Civil War, the Black battalion where Matthew
Glory.
Because they have to have the white savior in there.
Glory.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. That like one would, and the next one picked up the gun, and the next one picked up the gun, and the next one picked up like. There's a scene when they're going like kind of up.
No, but Robert Holden was a real character because
but I'm just saying like that's what it is. Like
yeah.
It didn't just. Everyone was like this.
It's a numbers game.
But the thing about it is that you got people still need to be coordinating their actions in order to hurt the production of the bourgeoisie. Being in the street rioting is not hurting their production at all. What you have to do is stop imports, like of them importing essential goods, or stop them from exporting crap, or blockading physically, like the blockade, just creating a physical blockade of food and things like they need.
Yeah, so the the way to think about it, because people love to like just shout the word organize because they think it makes them sound like a very serious person.
AOC loves that.
But if you ask like, okay, organize who, organize for what, and organize where, they have no answer for you, and because they don't understand what organization is. And the best way I've ever heard this described comes from Kwame Ture, which is when he was explaining in a lecture the difference between mobilization and organization, and why and this was part of a critique of Martin Luther King, actually, because he diagnosed King as an excellent mobilizer and a poor organizer.
Yes.
And what it is mobilization is when everybody comes together to oppose something, and organization is when people work together to support something. They work towards something, not against something.
Exactly.
And and the mistake people make about organizing is that you don't need to organize 50,000 people. You can do it with 10, depending on what your goal is.
Well,
but you have to be coordinated and disciplined.
Okay. Hold on. Can I please get a word edgewise?
Yeah.
Fidel Castro said that if he had to, like, he said he sailed into Cuba with 10 people, and if he had to do it again, he would do it with 5.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up that Rick was saying it was the flag that they kept picking up. That's all I wanted to do.
The flag, not okay. That's
not guns, but they kept going with the flag. Like someone had to carry that flag.
Yeah, I don't watch war movies.
I watch some war movies.
It depends what. Across the Yalu River, you can get that on YouTube. That's a good one.
Oh well, there's a really good. Well, yeah, there are some really good. There are lots of good war movies.
China makes great war movies.
Oh my God, I like the Battle of Lake Changdong Mountain. That was really good.
Yeah,
and they make the Americans look really stupid, which they are. And
well, no, I mean MacArthur like screwed the pooch like hard in Korea.
I know, but they did it very historically accurate. It's a very well movie.
Across the Yalu River, like like a huge point of that, like it's all sovereignty negotiations conducted between China and the U.S. over DPRK territory, and China like fighting for the DPRK's right to basically build this airport that the U.S. opposed, like for the same reason that they opposed Grenada having an airport.
Oh yeah, but you know what's really funny? Last year, basically Chinese people like Canada was trying to fly really close to the DPRK, and the Chinese like Air Force people literally flicked them out to came really close.
Oh yeah.
if you don't move, we're gonna blow you up. And then they gave them the middle finger, and
Yeah,
Kennedy was so
and they reported it like Chinese fighter jets make obscene gesture at Canadian peace plane. Like like they worded it like so stupid like that. I think like they like no, like I think they really did like call it like something like a peace envoy or something like that.
Yeah.
It was so stupid.
I know.
You're in Chinese airspace. Go home, Canada, man.
Yeah. Basically, they were just offended that China can defend its, like, China can tell the West to F off. And yeah, they're gonna, oh, by the way, it looks like this general is like so eager to start a war with China over Taiwan, but it's a war that the West will lose. They should watch the movie Downfall, and the West is gonna be in those bunkers in Washington, D.C. in those last days.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I was saying,
but the thing is, like, no, I know they won't, because nobody in power here has the humility to commit suicide.
Okay.
They don't. Like, I wish they were capable of experiencing that kind of shame.
Just by the sheer numbers, I said this to my brother like a year ago. Just by the sheer numbers,
China can mobilize more soldiers than there are people in America.
Yeah, so
they have like 4 times the population. Like
they literally can mobilize more soldiers than people. In America.
And it's like overwhelming public sentiment in Taiwan. The population there is not going to pick up arms to fight against the mainland.
No. Are you going to fight against your cousin over?
No. They said that they support they support the de jure, de facto, whatever you want to call it, status quo independence, and the status quo is basically inevitable reunification that the Taipei government will make unnecessarily painful. But the Taiwanese quote unquote independence movement is a fucking myth. Like,
and it's an NED operation.
Yeah, it only exists in the minds of Western suckdems and basically NED agents on the ground in Taiwan. It's like a tiny minority. They do not think of themselves as an independent country named Taiwan. The Taipei government considers itself the true China, not independent from China, and they claim more territory than the PRC does. And they are willing, and because they're psychos and like descended from the freaking Kuomintang, they're willing to agitate against nuclear armed neighbors to get that territory back from, I believe, Pakistan. It's Pakistan or India. It's like right on the border with one of them. Pakistan. Can we just go back to Hindustan? It
doesn't matter. Ultimately, not those territories. Both India and Pakistan have nuclear.
I remember like a while ago, like some U.S. rep lands in Taiwan for something. Like, it's not an official thing, but she like tweets out that she's in the Republic of Taiwan. And it's like, oh, so the geopolitics understander is logged on. She knows where she is. Like, it's not the Republic of Taiwan. Like, it's the Republic of China, and it's a fake country.
Well, CNN called Bangkok. They called it Bangkok, Taiwan, and Taipei.
Bangkok, Taiwan.
Yeah.
What were they even talking about? Were they talking about Taiwan or Thailand?
No, they were talking about New Year's celebration in Bangkok, but then they got the countries confused.
Oh, okay. Like, wow.
They got Thailand confused with Taiwan.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, and except none of them are embarrassed. But like I said, I read this general who, like, Republicans are itching to start. Like, I don't see what, like, so they have to start. What would I don't get why they need to start. Like, they don't. I don't understand. Like, I understand that they're
here's my thing. I think there was this news report years ago that I think is the essence of all Chinese coverage in the U.S. There was a plane crash, and it was a Chinese airline, and this news anchor began reading the names of the crew that died, and the names were Captain Sum-Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Holy fuck, Bang Ting Ao.
Yeah.
She read all 4 of those names online.
Without realizing what. Yeah, she
like not online, like live.
Yeah.
on
She was-
television.
She was
Like,
pranked by a Redditor. Hello, Deanna Troy of. I can't.
hello, comrade. Deanna
Okay.
Troy of Themyscira,
Okay.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that. Okay, now it makes sense. But like I said, imperialists cannot stop themselves from being imperial. They're like
No,
scorpions.
the word is rapacious.
Well, that's it. Okay. So they're upset at China for like. Okay, so today the U.S. said something like, "I'm upset that Solomon Islands are going to be allowing China to build some port there." And it's like the Solomon Islands does not belong to you. They get to do whatever they
There,
want on their land.
I guarantee you, if you went out on the street, it would be a miracle of 17 different gods if you found 1 out of 10 USians that could find the Solomon Islands on a map.
They're in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, don't give it away.
Sure, I trust you.
Let's have them find the Pacific Ocean first.
Exactly. Ask them where the Pacific Ocean is.
Okay.
Like, though I do remember like something that gave me hope for this was it was like they asked USians to label a map of Europe, and like somebody labeled Ukraine as just land, and then over the Balkans was just a bunch of arrows that said this is all fake.
Oh, that is true.
Like,
No, Baltics, not Baltics or Balkans.
the Balkans, like
Serbia,
like
Croatia.
after it was all cut up
Yeah, that's correct.
from
It should be-
Yugoslavia.
Yeah, Yugoslavia. The Solomon Islands are independent countries. They do not belong to either Africa, Australia, or New Zealand.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I'm just gonna take your word for this. Like I know the Solomon Islands exist. I knew they were in the South Pacific. I don't know where. I couldn't tell them apart from the Solomon Islands or like freaking French Polynesia. I don't know what that shit looks like. I'm never gonna set foot there.
Yeah, there's the Marshall Islands, Vanuatu, Tuvalu, Nauru. You know what's really sad? Wait, I forgot. Right. Well, Tuvalu is really happy because they get all the money from the .tv domains, and so they're getting like really nice infrastructure.
Oh, nice. Well, it's like and plus, I mean, their country's just fun to say. Tuvalu.
Tuvalu.
Yeah, so the
That and
Solomon
Vanuatu
are an autonomous region, and then Papua New Guinea's right there, and they're both constitutional monarchs.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, so Papua New Guinea is
attached
now?
to. It was like so. There. Okay. So, do you know the main island of Indonesia? Half of it is Papua New Guinea.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even know Papua New Guinea. I was thinking it was closer to Australia.
Well, no. It is literally like where the main island, the biggest island in Indonesia. Only half of it is Indonesia, and the other half is Papua New Guinea.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yipper was joking, so I'm just putting that up so everyone knows.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Yipper. I didn't realize it was a joke.
What was the joke? I missed it.
He said it belonged to Australia or New Zealand.
Okay, Kiribati is definitely at the risk of sinking because of climate change. That is correct.
Yeah. So is Bangladesh.
Yeah, because Bangladesh literally means underworld, as in like it's below sea level.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know it was named Underworld. That's cool.
Bangla means under, and Desh means country.
Oh wow, under country.
Not underworld. I'm sorry, under country, but I said underworld.
Underworld's fun.
Yeah.
Hey, let's read because we're only halfway through.
Okay. Yeah.
Should we continue it next week, because I'm getting tired, or?
Yeah, we're almost at 90 minutes. So.
Yeah, let's so we'll continue. Thanks to the reactionary law, so we are going to continue on that.
Yeah, last time.
Yeah, we're at the exact halfway point, and that's fine. I feel like this was productive and fun.
Last time we had to continue it the same way too.
Well, this is not one of Lenin's napkin notes, so.
No, I love his napkin note about anarchism being inside out and backwards.
I still say that the proper way to translate that is anarchism is the prolapse of bourgeois individualism.
Yeah, he said inside out backwards, but prolapse.
Yeah, unscrewed inside out, but yeah, no.
He said unscrewed inside out.
Bourgeois individualism's anal prolapse. You get anarchism.
Yeah. I guess that's also that's and then he wrote 3 points about how anarchism has achieved nothing since the days and if you
we said, nothing changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like anarchists. I'm sorry, Janet.
You guys always bitch about anarchists. I just sit here.
Okay, I feel like
Anarchism, baby.
oh yeah, I forgot.
I figure if I'm Irish and if I can admit that Ireland has taken nothing but L's for like the last 1,000 years, like I feel like anarchists can admit the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Internet anarchists are the worst because they accept.
Oh, they're just fucking Democrats, man.
You guys deal with people that do not understand anarchism is what the problem.
Okay.
They don't have the, much like when you have someone saying they're communist and they don't have the theory behind it.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that's happening because the ones that actually understand communism. Like
Yeah.
every anarchist that understands communism, they'll understand why Lenin did what Lenin did. Like they will understand that. Like an anarcho-com is going to understand that. Kropotkin may not have understood it at the time.
No, Kropotkin was dead by then. There was a big state.
No,
funeral.
Kropotkin he came back to Russia in 22.
No, they had a huge state funeral for him when he died.
It was a big thing, and he did nothing for his the last few years of his life. All he did was bitch about Lenin.
Yeah,
and he got a huge state funeral.
Lenin was more like, oh yeah, okay, old man, because
Kropotkin actually was not useless during the revolution. Like he did stuff, and because he was like a prince or a noble or something. Every time he got arrested, he got special privileges that he used to his advantage.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why he got a big state funeral too. There's even his grave somewhere in Moscow.
Yeah.
I saw it. I forgot.
Yeah.
It was only his bitching that Lenin didn't like, because Lenin was like, your take on the French Revolution is like everybody needs to know that. Like Lenin was like everybody should read Kropotkin on the French Revolution.
Okay, so Russell Brand is a fucking idiot if he thinks like liberating Auschwitz is the same thing as creating Auschwitz.
Who cares what Russell Brand thinks?
Who the fuck is Russell Brand? Okay, the thing is that the fascism is the complete opposite of communism because fascism is privatizing everything.
Russell Brand, Russell Brand reminds me of Willy Wonka if he really liked to be spanked.
Okay. Yeah, and he likes Jordan Peterson, so like. I could listen to Russell Brand.
I just don't listen to English people talk. Like, I mean, it's just the Mango Press guys, and like that's it.
Okay.
that's my quota of listening to English people.
Mango Press guys. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I forgot what I was gonna slap.
No French people.
Carl Zah came out this week with. You just put out that episode.
Ah, that's what I was. How did you know that's?
Oh yes, the Opium War. I was listening to that before I logged on here.
How did you know I was going to say that?
Because I don't know. Because for the last 2.5 years we like.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And then next week we're going to have a really cool episode where we understand the limits of law and order.
Excellent.
Yeah, Janet was there and
the TV show or just the concept.
No, the concept of law.
Because I'm fine with talking about both. Because I honestly think that Law and Order is responsible for more liberal brain rot than the West Wing.
That's very true.
I don't know. Law and Order can be entertaining.
I don't think you can have the West Wing without Law and Order coming first.
You know the podcast with the takedown of the West Wing?
Dave Anthony and Josh something.
Imagine if they did Law and Order. That would be like the never-ending podcast because
they're like hundreds.
Oh yeah, well I love John Mahoney's bit on that. Like it was like the victim had anal contusions and we found fecal matter and semen in their ear canal is a sentence I heard on Law and Order at 3 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Law and Order Special Victims Unit. It's been 25 years of watching Ice-T have the most basic shit explained to him. It's amazing. The guy from fucking Body Count.
Yeah. Okay, okay, Law and Order is not boring. There are some interesting episodes, but
No, there's a we coined the phrase like in the
West
homeless
Wing
shelter
is
that I was
boring.
in the homeless shelter I was in for 2021. They had a TV and it was just like Law and Order all day. That's all that's on TV during the day. I swear to God. And we coined the phrase for it that the hypnotic pull of walking past a TV that's playing Law and Order Special Victims Unit is called being Dick Wolf.
Okay, being Dick Wolf. Okay, well, at least
I got Dick Wolfed. Like I was going about my day, and now I'm gonna spend the next 5 hours watching this weird show about like the most disgusting thing you can imagine. I've been Dick Wolfed.
Oh yeah, Dick Wolf. Okay, well, okay, but West Wing, it just.
No, West Wing is so stupid. West Wing is so fucking stupid.
Wing. I get so angry each time, and I just want to scream. And
it's so fucking stupid.
I cannot do it. Like I have to scream. I can't handle West
There's
Wing.
There's not enough drugs in the world to get me through an hour of that show.
Yeah.
No, it's like being stuck in a K-hole at the DNC. Like,
exactly, it's like the worst thing because like the president literally like they are so proud.
Like imagine being in like a fucking blunt rotation with Robert Gibbs, Jay Carney, and Neera Tanden. That's the West Wing.
Exactly, and they're so proud. They think this is how things work, and they're just like so proud of the president. Like the president, like in the West Wing, like I forgot. There were so many dumb.
I really like Martin Sheen too, and that's what sucks.
Martin Sheen.
Like, yeah, he's a good actor.
He is a good actor. He's a very good actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
A lot of people in that show are actually good actors. It's just that the show sucks. Allison Janney is a national treasure. There should be a 12-foot life-size statue of her. Like,
yeah.
No, she's incredible.
The show with Dave Anthony and Josh, I can't remember his last name, is West Wing thing, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'll look into it.
Up like last summer, and they did it like the end show last summer.
Yeah, I forgot the other guys.
I know.
Dave Anthony and Josh something.
All I'm thinking is Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
That's a stupid Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
I think one guy's in prison for being a sex pest now or something. I don't know.
Newsroom. Aaron Sorkin is like the most toxic-brained person ever.
I remember when he got arrested in Vegas for having like a pound of mushrooms in his back pocket. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot, man. But like those mushrooms, like you're not supposed to eat the poison ones, man. You want the gold caps, bro.
Yeah. West Wing thing. Yep. So next week, check out our another episode of Historically with and then we're also shooting, actually recording tomorrow, the history of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Enter the Dragon.
So
Bruce Lee is a very interesting person.
Sunday, Colin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sunday, Colin at 12:30.
I will be there.
Yep. Because Garfield may be incapacitated for a longer time.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to be a regular on the Colin show if you'll have me. Like,
absolutely, be a regular. We need you for a while.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, and everybody can hit me up on Twitter at uncle_authority. Hit the tip jar. I'm trying to raise funds for a draw pad so I can do propaganda.
A drop pad?
Yeah, a touch pad that's like pressure sensitive, so I can like draw on it.
I got it.
Yeah, they call it like a halfway decent one that's like a good size, like 13-15 inches is like 200 something bucks. Like then I need like $50 for Clip Studio Pro, and then I'm just like going to be a propaganda factory.
Okay. Do any of you play Fallout New Vegas? Remember the Kaiser speech? You got oh, thank you so much. This is so sweet. Thank you. Okay. No, did you, and remember, if Egon, if you ever want to do a research culture, can you, okay, sure, if I know what it is.
It's like, I generally despise reaction videos, but like, I mean, if enough people beg for it, like,
I'll do it. I like Snowpiercer. It was a good show. My only gripe was that the black leader of the revolution wanted to name his son Trotsky. Other than that, base show.
Oh,
Sure,
that's
name him
disgusting.
whatever.
I would never watch that. I never watched the show. The movie was like pretty much perfect, so I'm not watching this. I'm not doing the
Okay.
show.
Okay. Well, with that, I think they canceled it. What did they cancel on TYT? I'm so confused. Who? What did they cancel?
On TYT. I think
What
they
did
meant TNT.
TNT.
Yeah, Turner Network Television.
They canceled it on TNT, and they're trying to get another network. Okay,
Ah.
so like a Hulu or Netflix to pick it
Oh
up.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, like the movie that Bong Joon-ho did was like basically perfect, and like there is a second, there is a part 2 to the graphic novel that it's based on, and I'd totally watch that if he made a movie on that. Like, but I'm not watching the show. There's just no way.
He's really good. I love every one of his movies.
Bong Joon-ho is an amazing filmmaker. Like I'm saying that like having not even seen Parasite yet. It's on my list. I'll get around to it.
So worth it. It's really like a great critique on everything, and it's actually a lot of it is actually based on real like a lot of people live like that, and unfortunately they live in those basement apartments.
Oh no, I'm aware. South Korea is like a very depressing place. It's a U.S. military colony. Like no, it's horrible. Like Jesus. What?
With that, I will say Svobodu narodu smrti fašizmu.
Slava Leninu.
Bye.